What is up, everybody? How we doing today? My name is Joe, aka Cool Runnings, and welcome to today's Wellness Minute. Today's Wellness Minute is about caffeine. Caffeine is a substance that I think a lot of us are familiar with because as far as stimulants go, it tends to be one that is super duper popular. It's pretty socially accepted that we're going to consume caffeine at one point or another in our lives. You can avoid it if you want to, but a lot of drinks that are associated with just like having a good time or like adulthood tend to involve some form of caffeine. So get caffeine from coffee, get caffeine from energy drinks, you can get caffeine from pre-workouts and energy mixes, and also just like soda pops and whatnot. So if you're not familiar with like generally acceptable levels of caffeine intake, most sources of caffeine are going to carry anywhere between 100 to 200 to even like 300 milligrams of caffeine in some more extreme cases. Being that it is kind of a naturally occurring compound, the measure is never going to be super duper locked in. But generally, when we think about caffeine consumption, it is a little bit riskier to go above 500 to 600 milligrams per day of caffeine. Most studies around performance and most studies around like alertness and the helpful effects of caffeine will show that taking 100 to 200 milligrams of caffeine 20 to 30 minutes before you are performing a task or a fitness related task, that it can be beneficial. However, if you're using caffeine late into the evening, roughly 12 hours before you are starting to try to go to sleep, it can impact your sleep cycles. Now, some people get so addicted to caffeine and get so used to caffeine that they can use caffeine until like late in the day and feel like they're sleeping like a baby. What I am here to tell you is that even if you feel like you're sleeping well and you're consuming lots of caffeine in the afternoons and in the evenings, you are not getting the deep sleep that you would be getting if you were not consuming caffeine. So there's a little bit more we could go into with REM sleep and delta wave sleep and all those things. But in general, some helpful tips: try to avoid caffeine after 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the afternoon if you are going to bed around 10, 11 o'clock at night, even midnight, because the half-life of caffeine is, from what I recall, about 12 hours. So other things, try to control your caffeine consumption from right when you wake up to maybe waiting like 30 minutes to an hour after you wake up. Cortisol release is part of the process that happens when you consume caffeine early in the morning, and cutting off that immediate pathway from like wakey to caffeine can help control some of your cortisol release in the mornings, which cortisol is associated with stress and fat tissue. Anyway, I'm going a little bit too micro with this Wellness Minute, but all of that is to say, caffeine is something that we come across a lot in our lives, and it can be good to just know our relationship with it and know what our consumption levels are. And that's today's Wellness Minute.